Hello everyone, in this video we are going to talk about getters and setters in TypeScript. Getters and setters are important functions to make the operations more efficient for the variable access. We can implement some checks to candidate value before assigning it to the variable, or we can perform some other tasks after the assigning the value to the variable. Also, they are allowing us to implement more complex operations during the variable read. Now, let's talk about getters. Getter is a dedicated function in TypeScript to get the value of an internal variable of a class. A getter is defining with a get keyword and then the name of the function without any parameter. So, getters are not taking any parameter. Let's start. Firstly, let's define a class, for example, user class, and let's define our private variables like name. Let's make it string and private surname, right? Let's make that also string. And let's define a constructor. And this constructor takes the name and surname as a parameter. And make the assigning, right? So this dot. Okay, so now we have our constructor and variables. Now let's define our getters. It will be get keyword with name and it will return string, return this dot name. Also, let's define a getter for surname. Underscore surname, as you can see. Let's define one more getter here. Get full name. It will be now our implementation is now ready. Let's use this class. Firstly, let's define our class const user equals new user. It will be Burak. As you can see, our class is now ready. Let's make our console logs. Console.log user.name console.log surname user.full name. Now, whenever we run the application, as you can see, we get name, surname, and full name with the help of the getters without accessing the private field of the class. Now, let's talk about setters. Setter function is a value assigning function. With the help of the setter functions, we can make some validations before setting and also logging and overriding the information before setting. We can even prevent the variable assigning according to some checks. Now, let's make some examples. Okay, here I would like to extend the previous exercise. So here I would like to add an email field. And I need to define a setter function. Here the keyword is set email and value will be a string. One important point. Setter functions are not taking any variable return type. So if I, for example, set the return type even void, it will show me an error and it will say a set accessor cannot have a return type. So let's proceed. This dot email equals value. And now, as you can see, my email is ready. So here I would like to make some validations for email. I have already copied a regular expression for email check. And I would like to make my assigning according to the regular expression check. So if this dot email regex dot test the value, if the response is correct here, then we will make our assign. Otherwise, let's throw some error. Okay, now we are ready here. Okay. Let's also define a getter for email to read it right. Email, and it should be return this dot underscore email. Okay, now let's make a test. So here, as you can see, I have user class already, and this time for the user class I need to set the variable. For example, user dot email equals Thecodeprogram.com. It will be info@thecodeprogram.com. And console.log user.email. Let's run the application. As you can see, we have our value here. Now let's try to assign a wrong value here without any at. So this is an invalid mail, and let's run the application again. So as you can see, we are having our error message here, and the validation is failed. So in this way, we can use the setters, and even we can do more before performing the value assignation. Now, let's talk about some benefits of getters and setters. They provide data validation before reading or writing. This might avoid faulty data handling. We can also have property abstraction of the class with keeping unnecessary properties with private accessor. We can even lock the variable access. With the help of the getters and setters, we can easily invoke more tasks before or after the variable access. We can override the value before processing it. Even we can return an overridden variable. Here I would like to finish the video. If you have some questions, let's meet in the comments. Happy coding!